We get to know just a little bit better the former Maryland Governor, Martin O'Malley, also a Democratic presidential candidate. And we're going to do it by having you walk this wall. It's the only wall on television long enough for Donald Trump.
Wow.
Here we go. So we're going to show you some pictures from your past and ask you to just talk a little bit about them. And first up is a picture of you and your parents about 1965 in Maryland. What were you like as a little kid, and what were your parents like?
I was adorable. I was the third of 6 kids. I was the oldest boy. I had 2 older sisters, and my mom, Tom and Barbara O'Malley, 2 of the nicest, most compassionate and patriotic people God ever put on the planet. My mom flew in the Civil Air Patrol in Fort Wayne, Indiana. My dad flew 33 missions over Japan in a B-24 Liberator, and went to college only because of the GI Bill. So,
did the O'Malleys want for anything? Did you have family vacations, expensive toys? What did you have as a kid?
You know, we didn't do a lot of vacations. Sometimes we would go to the beach for a long weekend or something. I can only remember one time where we actually went for the extended week, but no, we wanted for nothing.
Did all the kids have their own rooms?
No. In that little house in Bethesda, Maryland, we had 3 bedrooms and 6 kids.
Okay. You look good. You look good in those coveralls, by the way. You might want to get a pair of those for you now.
It's very Iowa. All right, let's go to the next one.
We're going to skip forward about 19 years now. There you are.
Oy.
San Francisco in 1984. What's going on in that picture?
We're all waiting around, I think, for the Democratic convention at Moscone Center.
That would be you up there on the far left, correct?
Yeah, so that's me.
That is you.
And those are some other people, Doug Wilson, Trevor Cornwell, others who all worked on Gary Hart's campaign in 1984.
So this is how you got your start really in politics, right? The Hart campaign.
Yeah,
working in Iowa.
Yeah, I had this reaction to Ronald Reagan, and I wanted to work for somebody that would defeat him. And I thought that a candidate who spoke to where our country's headed, a new generation, was the way to go. So I started working for Gary Hart in December 1982 when it was time to go out to Iowa. I did Scott County and Davenport for Hart.
Did you get in any trouble in San Francisco at the convention you want to tell us about?
No, not really. Most of it was over by then. And honestly, there was about a month where I just, where we just had to kind of
You're all really tan.
Yeah, well, we weren't, I'll tell you what, we weren't doing a lot of work for that month after the California primary and until the convention.
You've been spending a lot of time in Iowa now, right? So how's Iowa different now than it was back in 1984?
I've been pleasantly glad to find that it's really the same. I mean, people are so polite, and they take their responsibility in terms of who to vote for so very, very deeply and seriously. A woman said to me the other day in Fairfield, "This is my 3rd time coming to see you." And I said to her, "Well, how am I doing?" She said, "You're doing well. I'm seeing a lot of growth."
They judge in Iowa. All right, next year, 85, this is your graduation from Catholic University. Same parents, different outfit. What were you like as a college student?
I spent a lot more time. I went to Catholic University, great school. It was on the Red Line, which gave me the added benefit was that it was on the Red Line convenient to Gary Hart's presidential headquarters. So I spent a lot of time on the Hart campaign during those years, but I enjoyed Catholic.
What was your degree in?
Political science. Can you believe it?
Hard to believe. Did you go to class a lot?
I did. I had some great classes at Catholic U, not necessarily all in my political science, but the religion classes, the philosophy classes, the things that they required that you take were also some of the most interesting and with some pretty smart and big-brained people.
Were you too busy in college to do anything but politics? Did you do any extracurricular stuff?
I played in a band the whole time. I mean, that's how I worked my way through. I took a lot of great English classes there, too. I could have been an English major, but then I wouldn't have taken a semester off to go to Iowa.
You remember your GPA?
Ooh, 3-point-something.
Yeah. Did you graduate with honors?
That's a pretty broad range.
I don't remember, but I thought that an A- was the ideal grade. And,
no higher.
Higher. Let's move on to let's move on to number 4 here. Big moment for you. There it is, Baltimore, 1999. That's a 36-year-old man becoming mayor of Baltimore. Talk about that day.
Man, he had a lot more hair and was more black. Yeah, that was inauguration day. So those are my daughters, Grace and Tara, who spoke that day, and Katie back there holding little William, who's now 17 and stumping for me across Iowa and New Hampshire. That was a big day for us as a city. When I ran for mayor of Baltimore in 1999, it wasn't because our city was doing well. Right. It was because we had allowed ourselves to become the most violent, addicted, and abandoned city in America. But we forged a new consensus, and actually I won that election defeating 2 better-known candidates in a majority African-American city, both of whom were African-American, and we won every single council district. And so that was a big day. And every day of that job was hard, and yet I wouldn't trade a single day because we saved a lot of lives.
Given everything that's happened since, and most recently in Baltimore, is that time now for you a political asset or a political liability?
I think as people come to understand it, they'll see it as and so far my experience with people is they see it as an asset, because the two yearnings that I hear people voice all the time is the desire for new leadership and getting things done. And so I don't have to tell anybody that Baltimore was not an easy city to govern, especially in those times. And notwithstanding the heartbreak of that night of unrest a few months back, we're a much more resilient city than we were, and we'll find a way to forge ahead. Every big city has problems, and that's, I suppose, what attracts me to the work of big cities. It's also where we have the greatest potential to save lives, redeem lives.
Last one we want to get to, you're Johnny Cash here. What's going on there?
The man in black.
Yeah.
They found a picture with sleeves on it, too.
I know. We were looking for the tank top, but they couldn't find it. I think they've been erased from Google.
Yeah, you can tell that's a gubernatorial era.
Do you have a favorite Johnny Cash song?
I like I Walk the Line.
Yeah, that's
And
good.
I also like Ring of Fire.
Yeah.
Not Girl Named Sue.
Those are
Not
two
Girl
good
Named
songs.
Sue.
So lots of people have
In
seen.
fact, at inauguration, I sang I Walk the Line on the re-election.
We're going to have to look for that on YouTube.
Yeah.
All right, we didn't get to every picture we wanted to, but we got to a lot. Governor, thanks for joining us.
Thank
We
you, guys.
appreciate
This
it.
was fun.